guys. On today's episode of Days Glory Shop Works, we are going to do a little bit of carb tuning. So this is a 750 CFM double pumper, quick fuel, we'll say race carburetor. I only say that because there's no choke horn. And I'm not worried about the cold weather starting. Honestly, as you saw, it's, I don't know, it's about 10 degrees Celsius right now. And it started up pretty nice. For being dead cold and not having moved in a week, probably. Alright, let's put that right there. Ooh, another little sip of my drink. Okay, here is our carburetor. Quick Fuel Technologies, and it says 750 AN for annular boosters on the side of it, which I'm not too caring on that. I have to do two things. One, I do have to jet it down a little bit. This is a 318 after all, not the 340 that I had in there, and so consequently, cubic inch displacement wise, it uses less fuel. Has less fuel demand. The mid-range throttle, cruising, part throttle and everything, that's pretty good. Around 13 to 1, give or take. I'm going to try to bring that up just a tiny bit because there are points where I'm just lazing along the highway at 120 kilometers an hour, and it's like going down below 12 to 1. I don't like that. I like 12 and a half and up. So I'm gonna drop my primary jets, probably 2 sizes, maybe 3. I'll drop the secondary jets, possibly 4 sizes. That might be a bit much. We're gonna see what I actually have in my carb kit anyway. And then I'm going to do something that I just learned about from David Freiberger's channel. I've been tuning carburetors for years, and this car, with this carburetor, and with the last carburetor it had on it, which was an 850 double pumper on my, it was a Holley XP, again, race tune carburetor. This car would always, when you pull up to a light, it wants to stall out, it goes dead lean. You got to give it a little burp of throttle right before you pull up, and it gets a little dicey when you're clutching and braking and trying to downshift and etc. Anyway, it's a little bit, takes some of the joy out of driving. And so when you're sitting there idling after you've recovered that, you go to pull away, you can't just put your foot into the throttle and roll in. You have to give it a little tease, give it a tap, couple taps to get the accelerator pump circuit to richen things up so you can actually pull away smoothly. Do I do it? Yeah. Does it matter in the grand scheme of things? Hey, I'm getting to drive my car, so. But there are better ways to do it, right? So we're gonna pull the carburetor off. We're going to rejet it, and well, I guess I don't have to pull the carburetor off. Anyway, that's right. Probably not going to pull the carburetor off, but actually I am, because I want to look at the transfer slots. And anyway, I'm going to put you up on the stand. We'll get this carburetor ripped off, put it on the bench, a part of a bench somewhere so that I have room. And we'll start with looking at the transfer slots. Then I'm going to swap out my jets front and rear. And then I'm going to try to tune the idle circuit better. Alright, here we have it. We're going to start with the underneath. And I'm looking at my front transfer slots, and they are uncovered a little bit more than they need to be. Not much, but a little bit. So we adjust that with our idle screw. I just want them uncovered a tiny bit. I want them square, I guess is the best thing to say. Let me grab a screwdriver here. Okay, so the idle transfer slots. Let's see if we can have a look down inside here. Oh boy, it's going to be hard to see. Hard to see. If I open up the throttle, you will see. Do you see that straight line kind of in the middle of the screen on the upper blade butterfly there? It's closed off, almost covering it. So I want that open just a little bit more. I closed it too much. So basically we want it to look like a square, and that looks like a square now. And then we turn our attention to the rear transfer slots. And they are, I want to say, open a little too much as well. Now to do that, thankfully on this carburetor, it's a pretty easy deal. I'm going to move that down, right. Oh, she's twitchy. Open a little more. There, I'm happy with that. Alright, that's my first adjustment, was the idle transfer slots. It's not much of an adjustment, but it is necessary, and you need to see them to be able to do it. Alright, first adjustment taken care of. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the front and rear jets. Pretty easy to do a jet change, but we're going to go through it anyway. Alright, we're going to get at our jets here. And I took the liberty of pre-draining the carburetor. There's still going to be a little bit of fuel come out of it, but nothing I'm worried about on this makeshift bench. We'll start with our primaries. I really don't remember what I put in here last year when I started to tune the 340, right around the time the head gasket blew. It's going to be interesting. There we go. There's my jets right there. Here's my little jet screwdriver. It's a Moroso. It's a pretty nice little deal. I like it. It's better than galling up your jets with a worn out flat blade screwdriver. Okay, so these primaries are a 68. I'm going to go verify that. Okay, yes, we have 68s in the primaries. Now granted, this carburetor is too large for the 318 by far. It's too large for a built 360, to be honest. Unless all you're ever doing is complete wide open throttle, it's just too large. 68 and 68, okay. Now, looks like we're gonna go 65. That might be too lean, but I don't have 66s. It's always a gamble when you're trying to tune your carburetor and you've tuned multiple carburetors with the same kit. But we'll get there. The good thing is, carburetor science is kind of a little bit of smoke, a little bit of gray area, a little bit of mirrors. You want them like, okay, so everybody thinks that fuel injection is the perfect way to meter a vehicle. It really isn't. Fuel injection does the same thing carburetors do. They smooth over the lean spots and they try to lean out the rich spots. All that in the middle of the demand of what your gas pedal's doing. Carburetors do the same thing. They just do it a little bit simpler, and I think because it's simpler and less fine spray, I suppose you would say, people think it's not as efficient. Well, it's extremely efficient when it's tuned correctly. EFI systems are horrible when they're not tuned correctly. But that's off the subject. So anyway, I just put my primary jets in as we were talking here, and I'm going to button up this side, flip it around. We're going to take the back side apart. Alright, backside. Secondaries. A little bit easier on the bench. I've done it many times on the car, but you know, the distributor cap and wires and everything are kind of in the way, and whatever hoses are at the back of the engine. Some vehicles is near undoable, but this is just a nice little treat for me to do it on the bench while I've got the carburetor off. Gently massage it out of position. Get your screws backed out all the way. And start playing with your gasket. Now these are reusables. I have more, but the reusable, the blue coated ones, they're not Holly brand, they're not Quick Fuel brand. I think these are, I don't know, Performance World, that's what they are. These are Performance World gaskets, and you know what? They've been working just fine. There. Did not tear gasket. That stuff's coming off nice now. Alright, pull this guy out of the way. Now, what do we have here? Oh! 68's in the rear as well. I guess we're going 65s. That, I'm going to try it. Worst case scenario, it runs too lean. I mean, I've been dipping down like below 12 into the 11, so on wide open throttle. So we'll try it. Worst case, it's running too lean, and I got to put the 68s back in the rear. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. A buddy of mine gave me a bunch of carburetor parts here, right in this tote right here. I'm gonna have to take a quick look and see. I'll get back to you in a sec here. As luck would have it, I got a pair of 66s in that pile of parts. Thank you, John. We are going to install those in our secondaries. So we got 65s in front and 66s in the rear. There we go. I'm not worried about my power valves at this time. If I look, I'm pretty sure I got 5.5s in there, which is kind of pretty good for the vacuum level we're running. 5.5s or possibly 6.5s, but anyway, I'm not worried about those right now. And we will put our rear assembly back together. Under the float, we don't want to have a float stick. There we have it. Time to put a carburetor on. So these are all minor things. Nobody wants to really go through the effort of pulling a carburetor off and actually going through and doing the things required. Plus, I'm not going to lie, I'm cheating a bit because I have an air fuel meter that allows me to quantify my changes and my results. You're only as good as the equipment that you have with you and the knowledge that you can use to expand such information coming in. But here we go. I don't even know if it's going to idle correctly. But the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn in my rear air fuel metering screws, fuel mixture screws. And like I said, I was watching David Freiberger's video last night on tuning his carburetor for his car. He had a similar issue with mine, with a dead spot as soon as you try and hit the throttle to pull away. And that was his fix, and his reasoning for it was that with everything tuned front and rear, he was developing a lean condition on the primaries when you'd try to go in. So yeah, you've got your accelerator, pump squirter, and everything else dialed in, but without an initial good amount of fuel down there, it's going dead lean. So if I decrease the fuel and air mixture here and turn it off, run solely on the primaries, like if I was running a classic Holley carburetor, then that's going to increase my rich mixture on the primaries for idle circuit. At least in my head, and in his head it seemed to work. I'm going to put it to the test and find out. Okay, adjust my idle screws on the rear in. I'm going to adjust the fronts out. So I adjusted the rears in half a turn, it looks like. They should be relatively even. Yeah, a little over half a turn. I'm adjusting the front out a quarter turn. We'll see if that gets us in the ballpark. Now, bear in mind, this engine is still cold, and I don't know how it's going to run. Might have to do some tomfoolery. Pull the mixture screws out a little bit. As soon as I find my screwdriver. And I bumped the timing. I can't remember if I bumped it. I meant to advance it, but I just grabbed it and turned it. So we'll find out if I did that right. Okay. Okay, we're 13 and a half to 14, just on warming up right now, not bad. I've advanced the timing and opened up the idle mixture screws. I'm going to have to set them a little better, but just to get it kind of starting to warm up a little bit here. Bring you guys back when the thermostat opens and we got some heat going through the radiator. Alright, coolant is up to temperature now. The fan turned on and the thermostat opened up. And I did some little piddling adjustments with the idle mixture screws. I got them both turned out about 1 full turn and 1/8. That's setting my air fuel meter at idle here warm. Tickling around 13. Just a tad above 13 down to 12 and 3/4, like so, right in kind of my sweet spot actually. The only thing left to do now, air cleaner's on, hood's closed, it's time to go for a road test. So I'm going to grab Nat, she'll run camera, and we'll take it for a drive, see if we've improved anything. Alright guys, we are going to go for a road test. Let's see if it stalls when I'm coming to a stop, and see how it feels when accelerating. Just pulling it out of the garage, it felt better, but that's just pulling it out of the garage, so we're going to see if we did some good work or not. I should note, my distributor is an MSD Pro billet, and when I originally put it together, I gave it almost all of the advance that you could. So it's got a wide sweeping advance. Now, I've advanced the distributor to help with the idle, but I don't know if I'm going to have to go back in and basically shorten the advance curve. I may get some spark knock, I don't know. We'll find out. And yeah, so here we go. No, we stalled. Let's see if that's going to be a normal occurrence or not. The car has cooled off a little bit since I got it going here. Pulling away is nicer. Tell you the car is bucking around and it's running extremely lean, so that jet change was not a good thing. We're going to go back to the garage and I'm going to rejet it back to 68s in the front. We're going to leave the secondaries alone at 66s, which seems weird, but I'd rather start there before we get into the wide open throttle. We need to be able to cruise it before we get to wide open throttle. Alright, this time we're going to do a jet change on the car. Or carburetor on the car. Yeah, that's the word. I was a little bit worried about the 65s. It was quite the change. I would have been happier with 66s or 67s, honestly, but honestly, after seeing my air fuel meter, how buried down like 16, 17 it was, I think the 68s were the moneymaker. Always double check your jets, even if you just put them in the right spot. double check that they are what you're looking for. Get your accelerator pump linkage up and properly lined up. Make sure you didn't lose your gaskets on any of your bowl screws. And snug them down. Never over tighten. Just snug. I put them all down until they just touch. And then once they're seated, I give them just that little and literally that's a mechanic term. It's right up there with a skosh, a bit, right up to ugga-duggas. There we go. That's on. I'll turn the key, double check we have no leaks, and fill the bowl. All right, let's go to it. So there's our air-fuel ratio at warm idle. Right between 12.5 and 13. Pretty good. The car doesn't stink while it's idling. It's not overfueling. And yeah, we're gonna get moving here. Down. Hey, we didn't stall. Nice.
Kind of focus on it, but
well, we're already a lot happier. It's sitting there around 13.5 to 14. I can definitely handle that for hard throttle cruising. Yep, give her some throttle, it hangs out at 13 to 1. It's actually responsive now. Hey, we did not stall out. We stayed idling happily, and now I'm pulling away with it actually having good response. I'm gonna leave it where it's at for now. Drive it, let the engine sort itself out for a day or two, and we'll see what happens with the drivability factor. I'm way more interested in drivability at this point in time than I am in full wide open throttle capabilities. And just the fact that it's not completely stalling out on me now. Oh, huge! So that's a pretty huge win, guys. Yeah, that felt good. Alright guys, there you have it. We have made some pretty good little leaps and bounds. It's not perfect, but I wasn't shooting for perfect. It's definitely improved though. The low speed drivability has gone up tenfold. Now, it did still stall out on me twice on my road test. You didn't see that on camera, but it did. And we just weren't recording at the time, so I'm going to go ahead and just richen up the idle mixture a tad more, because it almost doesn't do it now. Just those 2 times I had to stop kind of suddenly, and so there was a little imbalance there is all I figure. But pulling away and not having to give it like 2 or 3 shots of fuel, fantastic. So good job, Freiburger. Thanks for the tip, and I've used it and I appreciate it, and it works. So as it goes, guys, a little bit of tuning, a little bit of knowledge, and a little bit of information. So air fuel meter is, I consider it a must on anything with a carburetor you're trying to tune, especially race applications and whatnot. But honestly, the drivability aspect of your daily driver, you can put a stock carburetor on an engine with a stock cam or a very mild cam, and you can get by okay, and it'll run decent, but you won't necessarily have your full potential. But then you can take an air fuel meter, you can watch what your carburetor's doing at any specific throttle aspect that you're giving it, and you can interpret those results with a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of thought process, and you can actually make something happen. A little tweak there, pull out some wedge there, you know, you can improve things considerably and make a really nice daily driver, and we're on the road to doing that with this car. So from Dave and Nat at Days Glory Shopworks, we appreciate you guys. Thanks very much for tuning into this episode, and we will see you on the next one.